3, 2.
How much does it cost to buy down your mortgage rate? Everybody knows that the whole world is sitting on the sidelines watching the mortgage rates, but how much does it cost to just buy it down? And more importantly, can you get the seller to pay for it for you? That is what we are going to be discussing today on our Won't You Be My Neighbor podcast. Bill, as always, good to see you, buddy.
Nice seeing you.
The mortgage rate has been the number one topic in America when it comes to real estate over the past 3 years. Coming out of the real estate attack and going into COVID, we saw rates hit as low as 2.75%, rates that are unheard of in American history. And that was a good thing for some people. But the negative consequence is it convinced a lot of people that that was the normal interest rate. If your first house was purchased at 3% and now you look up and it's 6%, you think something's going wrong, right? So today what we're going to do is help people navigate these struggles, overcome these hurdles, and most importantly, talk about the actual costs of refinancing, buying down rates, and what you can actually do with the money. All right. As always, we're joined by my partner, Bill Gaylord, the best lender in Las Vegas. He's who I use for all of my loans. Bill, how long have you been in the real estate game?
33 years.
33 years. Look at this man. This man looks like success. Okay. That's why we have him on the podcast. So, Bill, let's start here today. When I teach people about buying down their interest rate, I use the old staple of 1% of the loan amount. Can you explain to the audience what this means?
Yeah, so I'm going to use an example.
Okay.
So 1% of the loan amount. So if you had a $400,000 loan,
okay,
and you paid 1% in terms of points, that would cost $4,000.
There you go.
1% of 400,000, $4,000.
Now, for the people watching who may not understand the difference between the loan amount and the house cost, right? Is it 1% of the cost of the house or 1% of the loan?
It's 1% of the loan amount.
Of the loan. Okay. Would you guys like my favorite example ever? It's something I use to teach people every single day. $400,000 is the easiest number to work with, okay? You have a $400,000 house. You use an FHA loan, so the down payment is 3.5%. That comes out to $14,000, okay? You take $400,000, which is the cost. You subtract $14,000, the down payment, and you're left with $386,000. That is how much the lender, the bank, is loaning you. That's your loan amount. Okay. Now you're taking 1% of that number.
Correct.
Let's just call it $3,800 to make it easier for people. Bill, when I do the 1%, how much does it buy my loan down?
So when you look on you can go to Mortgage News Daily. You can go see a lot of advertisements out there for money, and you're going to see the interest rate quoted, and that's going to generally include 1% origination fee, typically, and that's the $3,800 that you talked about. You've got other costs that we'll get into, but that's the typical cost to get the normal interest rate that you see advertised on the internet.
And when I give them that $3,800, does it buy my loan down a full 1%? What percent am I buying my loan down?
So if the interest rate, and you look out there, the interest rate says 6.25%. It's going to cost you 1% to get 6.25%. Now, if you wanted to go lower and you wanted your interest rate to be 5.75%, right? So you dip down below that 6% level. For every quarter point reduction in the interest rate, it costs about 1 point.
1 point. Okay. So for those of you, again, we don't want you guys to be confused. We want to make this lingo as understandable for you guys as possible. Okay. For you guys who didn't catch that, 1 point equals 1% of your loan. In the example we gave earlier, $3,800 would be 1 point. Okay. So if you wanted to get your rate down a full 1%, you would have to do that 4 consecutive times.
4 points.
4 points. Right? So an easy way to understand this is 1% of your loan amount equals 0.25% reduction
in the interest rate.
That's the easiest way to understand this. So if you're at 6.25, with 1 point, we can get you down 6 flat. With 2 points, 5.75. With 3 points, 5.5. And with that 4th point, a full 1% down to 5.25. Right? So in this situation, you would need $3,800 times 4, which equals 12,000 plus 3,200 equals about $15,000. Okay. This is where your realtor and your lender are going to help save you guys' time and money, because you're going to ask us this one question: Bill, should I put $15,000 to buying down my interest rate, or should I keep it in my pocket?
I would keep it in your pocket. It doesn't make sense to me to buy down rates, particularly if we're potentially going to see rates drop in the future.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, and I'm going to go back, I know 386,000 is the number, but I wanted to use simple math.
Okay.
Okay. So let's assume there was a $400,000 mortgage.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So 1 point equals $4,000.
Okay.
Right. So if you lower the interest rate from 6.25% to 6% by paying $4,000, it's going to take 4 years basically to pay back that buy down.
Correct.
It doesn't. So in 4 years, that's a long time. I think a 4-year payback is not worth it. Many times I will tell people to pay a higher interest rate and don't pay an origination fee. Don't pay $4,000 for the 6.25%, pay 6.5% and no origination fee.
Yes. Yes.
Because it reduces your closing costs by $4,000.
Correct. Correct. The one group of people that I will tell or advise or advocate to buy down their rate are people who are putting down a larger down payment. Remember, the interest rate buy down is dependent on your loan amount. So if you're someone putting down 30, 40, 50%, right, your loan amount is significantly reduced because you're borrowing less money. For people with this type of cash flow, this type of liquidity, I do advise for them to buy down their interest rate, because for them, the long-term savings outweigh the cash in their pocket, right? For our first-time home buyers, $15,000, $16,000 in their pocket is a lot. That's enough money to help them feel comfortable as they're adjusting to their new mortgage, right? But our buyer who's buying a $900,000 house and putting $450,000 down, that 20, 30 grand in his pocket doesn't mean as much, right? He's got enough in savings. He's got enough in assets. He's not going to miss the 30 grand.
Yeah. It's a matter of keep your money. You need to have some money when you first get into a home.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in reserves.
Yeah.
And if you can reduce your out of pocket, have a little bit extra cash in the bank, you just never know what's going to come up.
Truth. Truth. Let's see. We always like to stop and see if we have any questions on social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, we go live every day at 10 a.m. on Instagram and TikTok. And then for our classes, we have everything running, as you guys can see on the table. This allows us to get more questions asked along the chat, the podcast. So, Bill, what is the difference? Because a lot of new builds like to do this, and I'm very against this. What is the difference between a rate buy down and, like, let's say a adjustable rate mortgage, an ARM?
Yeah. So a rate buy down, the interest rate comes down permanently.
Okay.
So it doesn't, so if they buy it down to say, 5%, it's going to be 5% for 30 years.
Okay.
An adjustable rate mortgage varies. So they may buy it down for 5 years.
Yeah.
They may buy it down for 1 year.
Yeah.
It will then shoot up as the market changes.
The reason I do not like adjustable rate mortgages, and this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, and I'm not sorry about this. Remember, I'm the bad cop here. I'm angry dad.
And I'll tell you why I like it.
The reason I don't like ARMs is because millennials and Gen Z and the younger generations are terrible at budgeting their money. They make the simple mistake in that they make their budget fit around their lifestyle. They don't make their lifestyle fit around their budget. So the problem with that is they have this adjustable rate mortgage. Let's say the mortgage is only $2,000. Well, they build their entire lifestyle around that. So they go, oh, I'm only spending $2,000. That means I can spend way more money on traveling and fun and partying and Uber Eats, right? They blow all their money. Well, as the rate starts to adjust, they've built an entire budget around $2,000, and now it's $2,400. Now it's $2,800. Now it's $3,200. where's my money gone? Right? They don't have a budget for that.
I agree 100%. If first-time home buyers, new investors, the only time that I would recommend an adjustable rate mortgage is typically on a jumbo loan, because they're more, honestly, they've been through the situation before. They have the financial background, they have reserves, they have savings, and it's something that they know. And they're just playing the game of trying to save a little bit of interest over a period of time.
100%.
First-time home buyers, it's too risky.
No. When a new build offers like an arm, I'm immediately out. I immediately walk, right? Because one, I know they're going to sell your loan immediately, and you're probably going to lose track of who has your loan. And number two, it's most likely a first-time home buyer who doesn't have the reserves and assets to protect themselves from that, and it's just not a good look for a lot of people. But you're right. Again, and this makes people uncomfortable when we say this, right? But your lender and your realtor's job is to protect you from yourself. It is. We have to protect you. We look through your financials. We're like, man, you're bad at budgeting. We know that. You know that. Let's be honest. If someone comes in and they're using a jumbo loan, Bill, what's a jumbo loan in Las Vegas?
A jumbo loan is anything over $832,500. Okay. So $1 million
buyers. People at that range know how to handle money. They know how to save it, budget it, keep it. That's how they got there in the first place. So we're more comfortable offering them different products because we know they're a lower risk candidate and we're not going to put them in a bad situation, right? That's the truth. If it makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. But again, our job isn't to hurt your feelings. Our job is to protect you from making bad financial decisions. Okay? So, Bill, I'm someone who really, the number 6 bothers me. I really want.
No, I'm just.
The number 6 bothers me. I really want an interest rate in the 5s, right? At what point would you tell me, maybe don't buy your rate down a full point, buy it down this percentage? What numbers look good for you?
Well, in my opinion, so much of it is psychological, right? They think 5 is going to save them a bunch of money. They think a 5.75 or a 5.99, whatever it is, it's all psychological.
Yeah.
And so the savings in terms of the payment, the actual payment difference is very minor, less than $50.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense to pay $4,000 to save you $50 a month or whatever it is, right? And I should do the math on that. Just
no. In fact, I'm going to pull up. We have a mortgage calculator that I set up for this exact situation.
It's not huge, right? Yeah. And so people get caught up on interest rate, and then I would argue that a lot of people that have a home now, you ask them, what's your interest rate? They have no clue.
No clue.
They have 2 years, 3 years in, they're, well, I don't know what my interest rate is. And they get accustomed to paying that payment. But a lot of it is just psychological.
Yeah. Foreign Phil said, what lenders do you recommend to go through in Vegas? Well, seeing as my lender Bill is on the podcast with me, I would say that's who I recommend because he's on all my podcasts, all my YouTube videos. We do real estate classes together. We do home buyer classes together. I would say it's safe to say I recommend him. He also works all 50 states. I'm not going to do the whole bit today, but he works California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Texas, Hawaii, Alaska, West Virginia, South Virginia, East Virginia. He works all 50 states, so you could use him no matter where you guys go, okay? So, Bill, here is the number. Again, because we teach the real estate class, I have the mortgage calculator up all the time. Right now, a $400,000 home with a 6% interest rate, which is 3.5% down payment, and we put your property taxes at around $3,000. Your mortgage comes out to about $2,900, $2,939 to be exact, okay? If you spent 2 points, which in your scenario would be $8,000, and you bought your rate down to 5.5, here's what would happen to your mortgage. It would go to $2,812. You would save $120, okay? $120 times 12, which is 12 months in a year. We're looking at what? $1,400. So you're spending $8,000 to save $1,400. Now, some people think, okay, well, hey, within 6 years, I'll have made my money back. But guess what, Bill? How long does the average person stay in a house?
The average person stays in a house 5 to 7 years.
5 to 7 years. So if it takes you,
Time out.
Yeah.
They stay in their house upwards now of 10 years. They keep the same mortgage between 5 and 7 years because of refinancing and lowering the interest rate
100%.
so that they pay less.
100%. So you have to start doing this kind of math, right? Would you have $8,000 in your pocket that you can invest in other places, start businesses, invest in silver is hot right now, apparently. Would you rather have that $8,000 to put elsewhere, or would you rather save $120 a month? For me personally, I spend $120 a month on my wife's boba tea, right? I think I'm going through $120 of boba tea a month. I spend $120 tipping valets, So for me, the $120, I'm not really that interested in it.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a perfect example. So last January, gentleman goes into contract. It's a $650,000 loan. We were talking about interest rate. He says, Bill, should I buy the rate down? It was 7.25% at the time, which a year ago it was 7.25%, right? So I talked to him and I said, I wouldn't buy the rate down. In fact, I don't think I would pay any points and I would take a higher rate. So because he was going to pay it down to maybe 6.99, he could refinance right now.
Yeah.
And he would have wasted $6,500, right?
100%.
So instead, what I told him is I said, take 7.5%, pay no points, don't pay $6,500, actually lower your costs now. And guess what? We just lowered him down to 6.25%.
100%.
And he saved $6,500. So sometimes the people get caught up in the rate, and it's not all about the rate. It's about what the long-term financial goals are. How do we structure this? Do we see that rates will come down? I've been in a long time.
Yep.
I don't, no one knows exactly what's going to happen, but I felt very strongly that the interest rates would come down, and they have.
Once the rates hit the 5s and 6s for conventional, to me, they're stable. Right? Once they hit the 5s and 6s, to me, they're stable. That's a rate that if you want to buy a house, you can, and it's still pretty affordable, but it's not low enough that it becomes a feeding frenzy and a gigantic seller's market. To me, once we're in that 5 to 6 range, it's stable, right? One of the tricks that we apply on contracts and offers, and this is something that you guys can apply to, I will raise the list price. So let's say the house is $400,000. I will offer the seller $405,000 if it means they'll give me an extra $5,000 in closing costs. Now, you want to make sure the house is going to appraise. As a realtor, you need to do your research. You don't want to offer $405,000 for a house that might be $390,000, right? But if you do your research and the house is in an area where it looks like it can appraise, if the price of the house goes up $5,000, the mortgage is only going up a couple bucks. But keeping $5,000 in my buyer's pocket is a big deal. Everybody watching knows this. If I told you, hey, would you rather have $5,000 in your pocket or $40 every month? Give me $5,000 right now. I could turn that 5 into 10. I could turn that 10 into 20. What am I going to do with $40? Right? So this is why the mortgage rate, sorry, I got to start saying the word mortgage rate more. This is why the mortgage rate on houses feels like a big deal, but ultimately it's not. It's not. And I know having a lender and a realtor say this sounds kind of blasphemous, but ultimately it's not.
It's having a game plan, understanding the long-term financial goals. How do you spend your money? Do you want to waste money or do you want to spend it wisely?
Yeah.
And my job as a mortgage originator is basically to advise them in the way I believe would be the best way. And sometimes it's don't pay any points at all and take a higher rate. Sometimes this is a good time to buy it down. And we also have what's called rate stacks, where they stack rates. And sometimes a point will buy it down more than 0.25%.
Yeah.
But it just depends on a daily basis.
It really does, which is why I always tell people, speak with a lender. a professional mortgage broker, right? If you guys go to your banks or your credit unions, they have no, forget the word obligation. They have no incentive to sit there on a daily basis with you. No bank wants to sit there every day with you. They want to do deals. They want to talk to people about investments. Banks are trying to get big dollar money. They're not trying to sit there with you every day and go, okay, well, the rates today, we can see. They don't want to do that. They don't. But a local mortgage lender or mortgage broker is more likely to sit there and contact you and say, hey, guess what? Today's a really good day. Your 1% might get you more savings. We should really attack this.
I had a great call yesterday with a client coming in from one of our podcasts, ask about refinance. They bought it about 9 months ago.
Yeah.
They bought it and they had 6.49 interest rate, right? And I said, well, I think you should actually wait. And I believe that you should wait because it's going to potentially drop again. And I want to do it at a limited cost basis. Mm-hmm. And she goes, but I've seen out there low rates. I've seen 5, I've seen 5.25. And I said, what they don't tell you is what the cost of the mortgage is. How much does it cost to get that rate? Mm-hmm. And so I'll give you a perfect example for refinance, if that's okay. So if you have that $400,000 loan and you were to save 1% in the interest rate, let's say you went from 6.49 to 5.49, 1%, right? That would save the borrower about $4,000 per year in interest. Yep. Now, if it costs the borrower, which is trying to keep the cost down, if it costs the borrower $2,000 to get the 5.49 rate, then it would take 6 months or half a year to pay back. Mm-hmm. We look at payback period to pay back the cost of getting that rate.
Yep.
Now, what you see out there is a lot of mortgage companies, internet-based, they're all sell, rate. You can lower your rate and your payment, but then it costs a lot of money.
Oh man.
And so if it costs $8,000 and you're only saving $4,000, it's going to take 2 years. If it costs $12,000, it's going to take you 3. I mean, it's just, so to me, it is honestly ridiculous for many people that do that, and they don't get into the cost.
That's one of the biggest hoaxes in real estate. That is one of the biggest hoaxes in real estate. And Bill, you know how many times we've been through this. I want everybody to hear this, okay? You guys will call your Rocket Mortgage or your Navy Federal or whatever online place that you found, and they'll say, oh, I can get you an interest rate at 5%. And you're like, oh my God, I love you guys. You guys are the best. And then you guys call me and you guys go, Brandon, I'm going to use this lender I found online. He can get me a 5% interest rate. And I go, tell him to send me the net sheet. Oh, lenders hate when you guys do this. Bad ones. Good ones don't mind. Bad lenders hate when you ask them to send you a net sheet. They hate it because by law, they have to send you a sheet that shows you all of the fees you will be incurring. Now, here's another tip. They like to hide these fees around words they know you guys don't understand. When they just type on there and they say, this is an origination fee, or this is what we charge for this fee, you guys don't know what that fee means, okay? What they're charging you is to buy down your rate. They're not giving you a 5% interest rate. They're charging you to buy your rate down to 5%. They just don't tell you guys that because they're hoaxers. They're trying to scam you.
The other thing is there's a couple of things that they say. Mm-hmm. They say there's no out-of-pocket expenses. Expenses. So what ends up happening is you've worked hard to pay that loan mortgage balance down. Let's say you started at $400,000 and all of a sudden 2 years, 3 years from now, you paid it down to $385,000. Well, then what they say, well, there's no out-of-pocket expenses, right? They add it to your loan. So then your loan goes from $385,000 back to $400,000 and you've made no progress whatsoever. It may feel like your payment's lower. Yes, it is lower, but you didn't make any progress
Nope.
on paying off the loan.
Nope.
The other thing, now I'm getting into this. I'm getting all
Let's
passionate
go.
about this.
Let's go.
But the other thing that they talk about is, and you'll skip a payment.
Let's show them.
You don't skip a payment. You're going to pay interest no matter what. It's going to feel like you skip a payment because if you close in, for example, March, your first payment won't be till May. Interest is paid in arrears. Your May 1st payment pays the interest for April. So it feels like you skip a payment, but you're not skipping a payment. You're paying the interest no matter what.
Foreign Phil, that's a good name, says, would I be able to get an underwriting pre-approval with Bill? Bill?
100%. We have an underwriter on staff who actually isn't in the actual underwriting capacity. She works for our team as a pre-approval expert. We have the file pre-underwritten before you even go shopping.
Look at that. Foreign Phil. Bill, how do they reach you?
BillGaylord.com. You can schedule a Zoom consult, start an application. Let's go.
Let's go. Guys, it's that easy. You guys understand. We pre-approve people right off social media. We pre-approve people right off YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on TikTok, if you're watching on Instagram, we do this right. That's why we put Bill's contact information, my contact information on these social medias. You guys don't have to wait. If you see something, if you're curious, guys, you don't have to window shop. If you have an interest rate in the 7s and you've been like, wow, I wonder what my rate would be if I got it down to the 5s, call Bill. It's free. He'll tell you, okay, well, look, here's how much it would cost to refinance your rate from 7.2 to the current 5.8, and here's how much it would cost, right? Bill, just in general, because obviously everybody's different. I cannot stress this enough. Everybody's different. Just in general, how much does it cost for someone to refinance their interest rate?
It should cost them about $3,000 to $3,500.
Okay.
If they've used me through the purchase of the house, we waive all lender fees. So we would go ahead. And so then it's going to be more like $1,800 to $2,000. And that's very significant because you look at that payback period and the lower the rate, how much does it take to pay it back? Because if the rates fall again, guess what? You can do it again.
You can do it again, right? You can do it again. I love the part about you waiving your lender fees if they've used you previously.
And
That's
I would
huge.
say this right now, for the clients that come in for you, Brandon, that are referred, I will waive the underwriting fee for them.
Look at that, guys. Look at that. He says he's going to waive the underwriting fee for you. So now you can't.
$895.
$895. Now you can't lose. Now you have no reason. Over here on TikTok, Daffy says, I have Rocket trying to go from 7.5 to 5.5. That's with buying 2 points. Daffy, what I would tell you is to contact Bill at BillGaylord.com. If you're at 7.5 and the current interest rate is somewhere around 5.8 FHA, 6.2 conventional, you should for sure call Bill and get that rate down. You're coming down a significant percentage, and it could probably save you a lot of money. Obviously, Bill will go over your options for you. He'll tell you this, how much it costs versus how much you save, weigh your options. But if you're in the 7.5 range, you should for sure be calling Bill to get that refinance. What is Bill's website again? Well, I'm going to have Bill tell you guys one more time.
BillGaylord.com.
There you go, BillGaylord.com. In fact, I'm gonna pin it to the top of the page for you guys so that you guys can find it pretty easily. Okay, hold on. YouTube, give me 1 second. We're just doing a little bit of if you're on YouTube, you obviously can see the you can go down the information section and see his website. But on other apps, it's a bit more challenging to do. So I'm just gonna pin it right here for you guys. All right, cool. So, Bill, permanent buy downs are better than temporary ones, right? The cost for buying down your rate, 1% of your loan amount, is a safe number for people to go with. If you need to learn how to do that calculation, it's very easy. Simply take the cost of the house, subtract your down payment, and then take 1% of that number. It's really that easy. It's nothing more complicated than that, right? We've went over why buying down your rate can be a bad idea for some people. The final thing I want to touch on is, what do you believe is better? A larger down payment or buying down your rate?
Buying down your rate.
Why?
Because if you put $10,000 down on a house, it'll save you $61 a month.
Mhm.
in payment,
Mhm.
right? If you use that $10,000 to pay down the rate, you could save probably upwards of $200 to $300 a month.
There you guys go. I teach a live class once a week saying 20% down is a lie, right? And I tell people the money that you guys put down on your down payment, if you just use it to buy the rate down, you'd save significantly more money. Now, with the larger down payment, what the value for that is that you get to the equity quicker, right? The smaller your loan, the less you have to pay off, the more you can enjoy the equity. So again, the advice we're giving you guys is not, we're not saying for every single person, 100% of people do the same thing. What we're saying is for most people, the average person, buying down your rate would be significantly better than a larger down payment.
Question for you, Brandon. Are you seeing sellers still, and I know the answer, providing you seller concessions? Are they paying the closing costs for the buyer when they are purchasing the home?
100%. This is why we've been telling people to be active in this buyer's market. Stop letting people freak you guys out because, oh, the interest rate is higher. You know what that means? That means sellers know that the interest rate is higher too. You guys have to remember, there's a person on the other side of a real estate transaction who's not stupid. They're looking at the mortgage rates the same way you're looking at the mortgage rates, right? Because remember, when they sell you their house, they have to buy one. So they're looking at the same rates you are. They know if the rates are in the 6.5, 7.5 range, that they're going to have to contribute to help you get into the house. So here's the strategy. Again, me and Bill aren't just here to lecture you. We're here to give you the strategies that work. Okay, you contact Bill. You say, I really like this house, but that mortgage payment doesn't work for me. It's in the $3,000 range. I need it in the $2,500 range. Bill goes, okay, here's how much you would need to buy down your interest rate to get your mortgage down to where you want it to be. Bill calls me. He says, Brandon, they need about $10,000 to $12,000 to get their interest rate down to where they want it to be. I go, okay, cool. I write a contract and I say, dear seller, you will contribute $12,000 to my buyer's non-reoccurring and reoccurring closing cost. If you do that, we will buy your house. The seller goes, yes, we just want to sell the house. Take the $12,000. We live in Las Vegas. We're up $350,000 in equity. We don't give a shit about $12,000. Here's your $12,000. We take that $12,000. Bill uses it to buy your interest rate down, and it costs you nothing out of pocket. It costs you nothing out of pocket. The seller paid for it.
Yeah, because normally you need to bring in money for the down payment and money for the closing costs. And the closing costs on a $400,000 loan are going to be not quite as much as the down payment, but it's pretty close, right?
Pretty close.
And now the seller is paying that for you.
They're paying
And if you look at the seller perspective, they bought it probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and they're sitting on at least $150,000 to $180,000 in equity. And to give up $12,000 so they can move on to the next house, that's what they're doing.
Let's go.
And they're saying, I want to move on. So it is, I mean, I can't remember the last contract I've had
that didn't have
where
closing
the
costs.
seller wasn't paying some closing costs.
I'm just telling you, guys, this is the way it goes. These are the actual cost. These are the actual strategies. These are the actual tools that we are using to put buyers in home for the past 2 years. The interest rate hasn't stopped our buyers one bit. In fact, my buyers are getting better deals now than they were 2020 to 2023, 2024. They're getting killer deals because they're the only cute guy in the nightclub. They're the last, seriously, imagine walking into a nightclub and there's a bunch of girls there and you're the last guy in the building. You may not have been cute before, but you're cute now. And that's what real estate is like right now. There's a bunch of houses sitting there waiting for people to buy them. And if you're the only buyer, right, your options are going to be significantly higher. So
For sure.
If you're watching on YouTube, if you have any questions, please put something in the comments or contact Bill and I directly. Both of our information, both of our contact information is in the description below. Feel free to reach out. We take all phone calls. We answer all messages. We are going to start answering a few questions on TikTok and on Instagram. So If you guys want to stick around for that, be our guest. We might roll this as like a separate clip. But for now, Bill, how do they find you?
BillGaylord.com.
BillGaylord.com. And for me, Brandon from Vegas, you can look for me anywhere on the internet. If you go to my website, if you go to my Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, there's a contact form where you can contact me directly. That's it. Reach out. It's easy. We just need your name and your number so you can contact me. And that's it. All right. We look forward to speaking to you guys. We look forward to helping you guys with these interest rate buy downs and going over the cost. And as always, come and be my neighbor. Peace, 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 peace. Over here on TikTok.